Would you pay $250,000 for a ticket to space if there's a real chance the rocket might never leave the ground? Virgin Galactic, once the face of space tourism for everyone, just hit the brakes. In June 2024, the company paused all commercial flights, promising that a futuristic new Delta spaceplane would soon take over. But now, the first tickets to space, already sold to eager customers, won't be honored until at least the fall of 2026, after yet another delay. The company's official story is all about building the next generation, but behind the headlines, the reality is more troubling. Virgin Galactic has quietly cut about 7% of its workforce, and its projected timeline keeps slipping further away. Meanwhile, would-be space tourists and hopeful investors are left hanging, with their money and dreams riding on a date that keeps moving. Every delay raises a tough question. Will commercial space tourism really take off, or is it just expensive hype? If you buy in now, you could lose your money, miss your shot at space, or end up stuck with an investment that never leaves the launch pad.
But how did it come to this? And why do the delays keep stacking up?
Let's trace the journey that brought Virgin Galactic to this critical moment and uncover what's really causing these setbacks. Space tourism was supposed to unlock the stars for anyone bold enough to pay, so why does that future now look so fragile? Blink, and you might miss the signs that the dream could slip away for good. Virgin Galactic exploded onto the scene with a headline-grabbing promise: suborbital rides for thrill-seekers, scientists, and everyday citizens. This was not just about chasing adrenaline, it was about tearing down the barriers to space, turning the extraordinary into something you could buy a ticket for. When Richard Branson himself soared into the upper atmosphere, the world watched, dazzled by the technology and bravado that made it seem like anyone could follow. The price tag was eye-watering, $250,000 or more per seat, but a flood of wealthy, curious, and adventurous people rushed to sign up. Investors clamored for a piece of the action, fueling an unprecedented wave of hype in commercial spaceflight. Virgin Galactic's blueprint was bold: operate regular suborbital flights for both private astronauts and researchers, building fleets of Delta-class spaceplanes by the year 2026. New Mexico, and perhaps other launch sites, would become gateways to the edge of space. The company still clings to this vision, with its latest public roadmap promising both research and private astronaut flights beginning in the fall of 2026, all hinging on an entirely new generation of spacecraft. To keep the vision alive, Virgin Galactic is relying on a cash reserve of over $500 million. A war chest, they say, proves their commitment and staying power. Company leaders point to this financial buffer as evidence they can survive the last, most critical stretch of Delta-class development. Yet behind the spectacle, the truth is messier. Persistent engineering hurdles, missed deadlines, and shifting schedules have haunted the project from day one. Every slippage chips away at trust, while the risk to investors, customers, and anyone staking their reputation on Virgin Galactic grows with each passing delay. If Virgin Galactic falls short, the consequences are massive. We are talking about more than lost investments. It is a blow to trust, to ambition, and to the dreams of everyone who believed space was finally within reach. Early ticket holders who paid dearly for their shot at the stars now face the stark reality that their once-in-a-lifetime journey might never happen. The dream is colliding with cold facts, layoffs, and mounting doubt over whether Virgin Galactic can deliver on its boldest promises. So, what exactly went wrong? And who stands to lose the most if Virgin Galactic cannot turn things around? Let us unravel the story behind the setbacks. What is really blocking Virgin Galactic from making liftoff history? Before you book your cosmic ticket, know this: a chain of lawsuits, layoffs, and technical problems could crash your investment and your dreams of reaching space before the countdown even starts. Let us start with the engineering snags. The Delta-class spaceplane was originally slated for its debut in the summer of 2026, a date that excited both investors and would-be astronauts. But now, even that timeline is slipping through Virgin Galactic's fingers. The company just revealed that trouble with its composite fuselage has forced them to push the first launch to the fall of 2026. Every extra month of delay means millions lost, both in dollars and in public trust. And each setback risks letting competitors surge ahead. But technical woes are just the tip of the iceberg. In response to ballooning costs and ongoing delays, Virgin Galactic recently slashed around 7% of its workforce. Imagine showing up to a company on a mission to change the world, only to be handed a pink slip because the spaceship is grounded. Laid-off talent walks out the door, morale plummets, and the pace of innovation grinds to a halt, while the world watches and judges. Legal storms make the mission even riskier. Virgin Galactic is still wrestling with the fallout from a huge $13 billion fraud and misrepresentation settlement. This is not just an accounting headache. It is a legal saga that haunts every investor call and customer pitch. Every headline about lawsuits chips away at the company's credibility and leaves would-be passengers second-guessing whether their spot in line is worth anything at all. Wall Street is not ignoring these warning signs. Big names like Morgan Stanley have already downgraded Virgin Galactic stock, warning that further delays are likely. Analysts now doubt whether the company can hit its bold timeline, and each missed milestone bleeds away both investor confidence and hard cash. If you are betting on Virgin Galactic, you risk riding a sinking ship. All of these setbacks, engineering delays, layoffs, legal hurdles, are not just ordinary growing pains. They threaten the very future of Virgin Galactic. Each slip-up risks jobs, scares off customers, and could permanently derail the dream of commercial space tourism for an entire generation. So what happens if Virgin Galactic misses 2026 altogether? And if space tourism stumbles here, what does it mean for everyone hoping to reach the stars? To understand just how high the stakes really are, we need to look at who is counting on Virgin Galactic's success and who stands to lose if it fails. Let's break down the ripple effects across customers, employees, and the entire space tourism industry. Wait, are we witnessing just another speed bump, or are we about to see the space tourism dream crash and burn? This moment could be the turning point that decides whether you win big or lose everything. Let's fast forward and picture both futures. If Virgin Galactic manages to launch its Delta-class spaceplane in the fall of 2026, it could ignite a whole new industry overnight. Analysts believe the company's stock might skyrocket to $36 by 2030, but only if Virgin Galactic finally delivers on time. That's not just a payout for early investors. It could mean brand new careers in space tourism, groundbreaking research, and engineering opportunities for an entire generation. But here's the catch. Virgin Galactic's own leaders admit these rosy forecasts are, quote, subject to significant uncertainty. With every missed deadline, like the slip from a summer launch to fall of 2026, their credibility takes another hit. The company has already cut its workforce by 7%, halted commercial flights since June of 2024, and is getting side-eye from powerful financial analysts. Morgan Stanley recently slashed their price target for the stock to just $2.50 because of repeated delays. For investors, the stakes could not be higher. If Virgin Galactic stumbles, those who believed early could watch their investments vanish, their trust shattered. A loss of market confidence could slam the brakes on funding for any private space company, not just Virgin Galactic. We've all seen this kind of story. Huge promises, dazzling visions, and then years of waiting as hope slips further out of reach. Consumers and would-be space tourists are hanging on the line too. Some have put down large deposits or even built businesses around the anticipated boom. If the Delta class never leaves the ground, it could dash those dreams and freeze the entire industry. Regulators and insurers might lose faith, putting progress into a deep freeze for everyone. But if Virgin Galactic pulls off the launch, the ripple effects would be massive. It could spark not just a whole new era of travel, but create jobs and technologies that would have seemed impossible just 10 years ago. The difference between total triumph and complete collapse comes down to months, millions of dollars, and whether Virgin Galactic can truly deliver. So is this only a bump in the road, or is the dream of space tourism about to derail for good? The answer will shape not just the company, but the fate of the entire industry, and it's coming sooner than you think. But what are the real lessons for anyone betting on the future of space travel? Let's break down what this means for your wallet and your dreams. Here's how not to get left holding the bag when the next big dream is delayed. The headlines make space tourism look like the next gold rush. But just ask anyone who held Virgin Galactic shares before the latest delays. Hype and reality can be light years apart. The company has now pushed its first Delta-class flights back again, aiming for fall of 2026 after earlier promises of a summer launch. This isn't just a matter of patience. According to Bloomberg and TradingView, Virgin Galactic cut about 7% of its workforce to conserve cash while juggling operational challenges and a $13 billion legal cloud. Even with over $500 million in reserves, Morgan Stanley slashed their price target for the stock, citing continued delays and uncertainty. So how can you keep your head while everyone else is dreaming of zero-gravity selfies? First, always check the track record. If a company keeps pushing deadlines, or if analysts and regulators start sounding alarms, take it seriously. Early investors in Virgin Galactic saw big swings, both up and down, whenever news hit about schedule changes or lawsuits. Second, beware of speculative FOMO. Investing in unproven tech is risky. AI notes that while early adopters sometimes win big, most lose when the hype collapses and real costs kick in. Protect yourself by diversifying, setting strict limits, and reading the fine print before putting money or reputation on the line. And finally, look for warning signs, layoffs, legal disputes, and a steady drumbeat of coming soon press releases. These are red flags that the dream might not land on time, or at all. A smart move now could save you money, protect your reputation, or set you up to seize real opportunities once the dust settles. So, after all this, is the ticket to space worth buying, or is it just a ticket to nowhere? Let's break down the reality behind the marketing. Think space tourism is just around the corner? Think again. Your money, dreams, or reputation could be on the line if you're not paying close attention. Virgin Galactic's Delta-class spaceplane once promised to make space accessible for everyone. Now the path is steeper than ever. The company has again pushed back its first commercial flights, this time to fall of 2026, leaving would-be travelers and investors facing even more uncertainty. The stakes are real. Virgin Galactic recently laid off roughly 7% of its staff and still faces the shadow of a $13 billion fraud settlement. Despite holding over $500 million in cash, the ongoing delays and legal troubles have rattled confidence. Morgan Stanley even dropped its price target to $2.50, signaling deep concern. For future passengers, the journey is growing longer and riskier. All flights were paused in June 2024, so the company could focus on building the new spaceplane, leaving ticket holders and dreamers in limbo. The adventure of a lifetime now feels like a moving target that may never be hit. Is the dream of accessible space tourism finished? Not just yet, but it is barely hanging on. If you're thinking of investing, booking a seat, or staking your career, weigh the facts and timelines carefully. The next chapter could be historic, but only the well-prepared will avoid being burned if things go south. But what does this mean for the future of space tourism, and for those still daring to believe? Let's break down what you should watch for next.